5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's what you've been waiting for. The Rebirth with your host, Shay Marriott. Let's go. And Eli Isabel. It's Philly Jamz.
Good evening and welcome to the Rebirth on Philly Jamz 95.3. I'm your host, Shay, and joining me tonight, of course, not too far away from me is my homie.
What up, family?
start.
Look at the hate. I hear the hate in the microphone.
Don't you start.
What up, family? It's your boy Eli, a.k.a. The South. Got something to say. We up in here to say happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
What's going on?
Happy Monday, friend.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
You okay?
I'm doing the best I can do.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. See, listen. I'm not even gonna clown you tonight because y'all did the best that y'all could. So shout out to all the winning teams from yesterday.
Wow.
Shout out to all the winning teams.
The hate be so real.
I'm not
in the
hating. I'm
room.
saying y'all did the best that y'all could.
I mean, but the hint of sarcasm in your voice is fluid. I hear it.
I'm
It's
not
right-
being
it's right
sarcastic,
there.
buddy. Don't act like that.
It's okay, because guess what? Next Monday night, I'm coming in here acting a pure fool.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all, you know what? Your season's gonna be one week longer than mine, and that's okay.
You shouldn't do that. You should root
I'm
us
speaking
on.
into existence. You know, I'm about the power of the tongue. I'm speaking into existence. Not this though, right?
It's all good. Welcome to the Rebirth. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I had a great weekend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was I attended the funeral, so it was but you know what? Hey, it was. As far as a funeral, it was nice. They put my brother-in-law away very, very good. So yeah, I was there to support my sister. So it was good, man. But I tell you one thing, I've been to Arkansas 4 times in the last 13 months. I don't want to go no more. I'm done. I need a break. I need a break. I mean, nobody loves Arkansas more than me, but I need a break. I love y'all, but I need a break. Yeah.
And you drove, right? So
I
you
drove
had a lot of driving.
I drove to my brother's house in Ohio.
Okay.
And then I rode down with him.
Okay.
So I had like a little break in between. I didn't go right away straight through, but yeah, I don't want to go no more.
Okay.
No, Jesus. How was your weekend?
It was good. Actually, I spent a lot of time relaxing. And don't say nothing smart when I say this.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
In my sauna.
In sauna? At the crib?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, how much they paying you at this radio station? I need a raise, Tosh.
Listen, that was the best investment ever, man. Seriously, it's just been very relaxing.
All right,
Yeah.
it's outside. It's on the deck.
No, it's in my basement.
Oh, you got it in the house.
Yeah.
I was about to say because me and Silly gonna creep around that gate. You gonna hear some noise out there.
Let me find out.
But since it's in the house, I guess we'll spare you.
Yes,
That's
please.
what's up.
Thank you. Yeah,
What
so I got a chance to practice some self-care this weekend.
That's what's
and
up.
I needed that. So, yeah.
All right, well deserved, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Well, good for you. We gotta
Thank
get
you.
it. We gotta get a sauna. Can you get it on? Can I rent them? Can you get it on credit? How can we do this? Can I finance it? What we gotta do? Because your money longer than train smoke.
Anyway, welcome
Mine
to the
ain't
Rebirth,
really like that.
everybody.
I'm trying to be like you when I grew up.
I'm so glad you guys decided to spend this time with us tonight. Even though the Cowboys lost and the Eagles won, we are still going to have a good time tonight. So we have a great show, but before we get into our show tonight, we're going to go to Right Here, Right Now.
All right, let's do it. All right, y'all. Welcome to Right Here, Right Now. It's where we give you just a little bit of current events that are happening around us now. This weekend was full of football, but there was one incident that took place on Friday night during the Memphis Grizzlies game. There was an altercation, almost an altercation. If you know, Fox Sports One host Shannon Sharp from Shannon and Skip. This guy is at the game. Shannon Sharp, who is a major LeBron James fan, he is at the game and he is going at it with Dylan Brooks. A couple of FUs get thrown out there. One from Dylan to Shannon. Shannon back to Dylan. Next thing you know, they're getting ready. Well, not Dylan. Dylan kind of kept it going to the bench, but Shannon challenged him as a man. And the biggest dude, they say one of the strongest men in the NBA, came over Steven Adams to defend his boy. And of course, security all came. It became like a really big thing. Then Ja Morant, who is my guy, Memphis Grizzlies, that's how we roll. And his father, T. Morant, who always has a cup in his hand. I swear the dude be drinking at every game. You never see T. Morant without a cup in his hand. And what's crazy, when you got new money in the family and you're only like 47, you gonna wild out a little bit. That's still young. Now your son is a millionaire, so you kind of wilding out a little bit. So anyway, T. Morant and Shannon Sharp almost get into it. A hot mess. So I say all this to say, when we have this money and we're successful, we're doing well, what are we so mad about? Life is good. What is the problem?
But it's not. They said the more money, the more problems.
But that problem right there was some dumb stuff right there now.
Right.
That wasn't no street stuff. Nobody was going to ever actually get to fight because the security's not going to allow that. But my point is, what are we so angry about? I know broke people who aren't as mad as some of the rich people. Like it bugs me out with people with money. They just rappers, entertainers, like, what the hell y'all so mad about? You've overcome your circumstances. You have put your family in a great place. What is the problem? So let's work on that.
Absolutely.
Let's work on that. We got to work on that. We got to do better. And Shannon Sharp, you're like 56. Stop.
I agree. He's a big dude, though.
He is a big dude.
Wow.
With that old crazy sweater on. Did you see it?
I saw it.
It's a mess. But anyway, listen, let's do better, black men. We have to begin at some point. And when the older cats are acting a fool, damn, where do we start? You 56 years old and you out here trying to fight at a daggone NBA game. So let's do better, black men. Right here, right now.
All right.
Let's move on right into our Black History moments. As you know, at the Rebirth, we highlight a Black History fact, not only in February, but every Monday of the year. Tonight, I want to talk about Miss Patricia Era Bath. Born in November 4th, 1942, she was an American ophthalmologist. She was a humanitarian and an academic. She invented and improved the device for laser cataract surgery. You don't wear glasses anymore, right? Did you get the surgery?
You know what?
I'm just saying, because if you did, you could thank Miss Bath.
I never wore glasses, but I probably need to. But go ahead.
That's why you'd be squinting. You'd be squinting like you
I have my readers.
Like you 8 years old. Her invention was called the laser phaco probe, which she patented in 1986. She also became the first woman member of the Jules Stein Eye Institute, the first black woman to lead a postgraduate training program in ophthalmology, and the first woman elected to the honorary staff of the UCLA Medical Center. Let's show some love to Miss Patricia Era Bath.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
for
well,
that
you're welcome.
wealth of information. Appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So tonight we have a great show. I'm very excited to introduce this gentleman. We are going to be talking about breaking generational curses through community involvement. And this young man has so much community involvement under his belt. And I mean, I'm very excited to have him here. Just a little bit about him. He is a teacher, first of all. So shout out to that. Shout out to all the teachers. Absolutely. Absolutely. And he loves working with the youth. He's done a lot of work with the youth in regards to coaching. And it's not just boys, it's girls as well. So he's involved in the Boys and Girls Club. A lot of work in the Newcastle community, and I'm just happy to have him on the show. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. B. Wright to the Rebirth. Welcome to the Rebirth.
Welcome to the show, bruh.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. We are excited to have you because we're always talking about generational curses and the things that we kind of keep going through our families and we're passing down. and your work that you're doing in the community definitely needs to be highlighted tonight. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to have you. Now, I know that I touched on a little bit about what you do and the things that you're involved in, but just for our audience, can you just introduce who you are?
Well, my name is Wright, but I'm affectionately known as B. Wright in the community. I have more than 30 years of experience with working with youth and their families, stemming from coaching basketball to working at Fair School for Boys, mentoring young men in the neighborhood, and currently I'm a proud teacher in the Chester Upland School District.
Okay.
Where I work with a bunch of dynamic young women and boys, and my goal is to find out what their passions are, and to instill in them that their zip code should not limit their heights.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
Wow, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, where did this inspiration and passion come from?
So it found me, to be honest.
Okay.
Growing up with a single mother, I was the protector of my younger sisters. So that was my job. And then throughout life, became a leader playing sports. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, I was responsible or expected to do more than others, which helped me to become the leader that I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at times I wanted to be just like everyone else, but my teachers, they saw something in me and wouldn't allow me to, be treated like everyone else.
Right.
So, most people say that once they get over the hump, the people that push them the most are the ones that they appreciate.
Right.
So I thank those guys for,
right,
keeping their foot in my neck when I wanted to be like everyone else and get passes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, okay.
So you was raised by a single mom. What were some of the challenges relating to being raised by a single mother?
So most of my issues were looking back, because growing up, we talk about generational curses. That was the norm. There were a neighborhood full of single mothers, strong mothers trying to make sure we were okay, dealing with their issues, their traumas, passing them down. But when I got older, I looked back and I realized that I wanted more, so I had to make some changes. So, I played college basketball, high school basketball. My mother never seen me play, never came to any of my games.
Wow.
I graduated from college. My mother came to graduation, but that was the only time she ever been on campus.
Okay.
Wow.
So I had to find ways to get to school, find ways to, make things happen. And I had a lot of mentors who helped me along the way. So a part of me giving back is me saying thank you to those guys for looking out for me. So, and I want to make them proud.
Right.
Yeah.
For making those sacrifices.
So as you were elevating and getting ready to go to college and all those things, what was the vibe in the neighborhood? Because the guys you were running with initially, now they're here and you're kind of moving forward. What was that energy like?
So to be honest, a lot of my friends support me 100%.
Okay.
So we every now and then they would joke, and they would call me Joe College. A lot of them would get upset because it's almost like the people in the neighborhood supported me. And my friends, their parents adopted me as their son.
Wow. Right.
And they would always tell me that their mothers would say, "Don't get that boy in trouble."
Okay.
So they would come outside and go, "Man, forget you." but they were my biggest support as well.
Right. Okay.
So I grew up in I'm 50. I'll be 55 in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
So I grew up in the crack era.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 80s.
Yeah, absolutely. Rough. Hip hop, paid in full.
Right.
I lived all of that. So.
Sobs, BBS rims.
Yeah, absolutely. So one particular story, I was going into my senior year. My coach had got fired my sophomore year. Played with a new coach. He and I didn't get along well. So he promised that he would, take care of my bill. And I went to school on campus, and my bill wasn't taken care of. So I go back to the neighborhood, and one of my buddies who known drug dealer.
Yeah.
He actually did 12 years in jail.
Wow.
But he asked me, when was I going back to school? And I said, man, I may not be going back now because the bill, I don't have a room, my bill's not paid. And he says, no, B, we have to graduate.
Wow. Wow.
He says, what do you need? I said, I probably need like $2,500 to secure my room. And he says, yo, meet me back in an hour. I'll give you the money.
Wow.
Right. So that's the support I had.
Yeah.
And then there were times when they would say, hey, we're ready to do something. You shouldn't be here.
Right.
Mm.
Wow.
Right? So they looked out for me. But then sometimes, I threw a few pebbles at the penitentiary. But thank God, that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school, and because of my mother's economic situation, I was given a promissory note, and financial aid was able to take care of things. So I gave him the money back.
Right.
But that's the vibe I had. That's how much support they had.
That's dope.
He said, we have to graduate.
Yeah. And looking back with the support that you had, and now fast forwarding and looking at the younger kids that are coming up in a generation, and their friendships and the things that we hear and we see about what's going on in the community. What is your thoughts about that? I mean, do you see the same thing kind of showing up, or is it totally opposite in regards to the younger generation and their relationships?
So there are different variables, but a lot of it is the same. So when I was growing up, there was levels. My OG, he did some things, but told me not to do them. It was contradictory, sort of.
Yeah.
Today, there are no OGs. So the kids tell me, I don't listen to those guys. They're doing the same thing I'm doing. Matter of fact, he owes me money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that level is, that barrier is not there. So when I was growing up, my stepfather and my father were hood legends. But the guys a little older than me looked up to my father. So I couldn't run the streets with those guys. But today, you got 16-year-olds hanging out with 40-year-olds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Doing those things. So that's a little different. However, those same generational curses, those bad habits are still there.
Yeah.
You have some kids who are looking up to people for the wrong reasons. So that's pretty much the same.
So how do you make an impact with that type of mindset that we're working with now, right? In a community.
So personally, for me, and again, it's not a one size fit all, but I'll just share what has worked for me. And the core of everything that I do is based off of relationships, building sound, proper relationships with the young men and women. So because I'm around them, it allows me not to forget what it was like. And I know that, it wasn't easy. So what happens when you go to church? I was raised in the church.
Okay.
Right? So when you go to the church, the mother of the church, she sits in the back of the church and she frowns at all of the young women, the shapely women that come in,
Right.
The way she's dressed, the way she carries her hair, not realizing that you're 75 now. But when we looked at your photo albums, when you were 25, you were dressed the same way.
Right.
Right? So the hypocrisy is real. So I tell the kids, I understand, but it's not an excuse.
Right.
So by being around them, I can see the similarities. And I'll say, but it's not over. I'm gonna love on you. We can get through this. And to create that relationship, that trust factor, where I can actually get them to get out of their own way from time to time.
Right.
Or at least when I'm in their presence, they'll stand at attention. And then sometimes, like I said, I work with the families as well.
Yeah.
So I'm on speed dial with some parents.
Yeah.
They go, a lot of kids know, oh man, if B Wright gets a call,
Yeah. It's a problem.
it's a problem. And I realized, because I grew up around violence, that doesn't work. So with a lot of the kids, I tell them that I love them, I support them, I believe in them. So with most of those guys, if I tell them that their behavior let me down, that's enough to change the behavior. And you guys are in mental health, so you realize, you know that if the punishment doesn't change the behavior, it's not effective.
Right.
Right.
So my goal is just to address the maladaptive behaviors, try to get them to get out of their own way, and to dream and hope and look down the road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing you said that was definitely important is got to work with the families too, because we do all we do, and then we send the kid back into that dysfunctional household, and so that's tough. And the neighbor, not to mention, you're fighting the household and the neighborhood most of the time. So I think that's important. We got to definitely dig in and get these families involved. What's the reception from the families when you have to have a talk with mom or dad about, the support that their child needs?
Well, so you have to do it delicately, because at the end of the day, you're not the mother or the father.
Right.
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 So you have to, at that point, then you have to be creative. So I've been in situations where I can be direct with some parents. Working in Chester, I'm not from Chester, but sometimes I run into a parent that reminds me of my mother, who was a 100% loving hellraiser. So I recognize that, so I can talk to her directly, where other people are afraid to talk to her because he's, wolfing, selling wolf tickets. So I try to sit down and I say, hey, listen, not today.
Right.
But then some, you have to be creative and just listen to them.
Yeah.
And explain to them that, listen, this is best for the kid. That's what we try to do. So you have to be creative. There's no one size fit all. But you're absolutely right. Working at fairs, we said, one particular time we had got a kid a job. He was on his way home in about 2 weeks. My good friend and brother, Tom Davis, we worked together. And we let the kid call his mother. And he, we dressed him up. He had a shirt and tie on. He was excited. He called home. He said, Mom, I got the job. And then he said, but Mom, did you hear me? I got the job. I guess he was waiting for his mother to congratulate him.
Right.
She began to tell him, fuss at him or whatever. Just took the air out of him.
Wow.
So that's what they're dealing with, So you just try to be there. And on purpose, I've had the same phone number for the last 30 years, so they can always reach out to me.
Yeah.
So I can give them words of encouragement.
Wow. I remember working with a young man that was at fairs. And one of the things that he said to me was, because he kept going back, right? He kept going back. And he said to me, he was like, I'm safer there.
Absolutely.
I'm loved there. He said, because when I come home, when I'm trying to get out of the drug game, my mom, my auntie, they're used to the money. So they push him right back out to sell, right back out into the violence to feed their habit, And it was just like, I know that happens. But to sit there and hear this young man, it was just like, wow, like this is real. And he was 16, 15, something like that. Holding back the tears, So it's real. It's happening. And to have someone in a community that can tap into these kids and the level of respect, the respect, I think that's the part that I admire, that they have respect for you and they're listening. How did you get that? Was it because you're constantly showing up for them? You're saying, hey, I'm here, I love you. What's gaining their respect for you?
Well, first of all, I don't say I love you all the time, but I show them that I love them. And again, it's situational. So, like I said, I grew up in church, and I realized that the number one priority as a Christian is your relationship with Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Has very little to do with how many auxiliaries you're a member of,
right? Your
attendance at Bible study,
right?
Choir rehearsal. It's about that relationship. So I try to have open dialogue with them, and then a lot of them are around me just about every day. So what happens at the Boys and Girls Club, from the ages of 6 to 11 or 12, we see kids every day.
Yeah.
Every time there's a program, we see them. 13 or 14, we start seeing them very slim. So sometimes the kids are great athletes, so they play high school. So I see them at the high school game. Or I run into the neighborhood. I see them in the neighborhood. So as I progress in my life, I moved from my old neighborhood. So I'm not living in the neighborhood often. So it's just the relationship with them. You know, when I
Yeah.
get a chance, I take them different places. I introduce them to people.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to them about being a good person all the time.
Yeah.
So, so I have a few kids that were had in my hip. You know, they were very good basketball players, but they were tough. They could only go out of town if they were with me. But I would instill in them, like, listen, you're my main man, so that means
Mm-hmm.
we got to hold you to a higher standard,
Right.
right? So that worked with them, you know. So, like again, there's no one size fit all, but just being acceptable. And like I said, this situation chose me. You know, kids would call me. I had a kid call me. Like I went through a divorce. I had a kid call me crying. He was like 27 at the time. And he asked me, was there anything he could do?
Wow.
Right? So, and I said, no, why is wrong? He said, you know, we didn't have the Huxtables, but I had you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that was a reminder that I had to watch what I do. And so hanging out with those guys helped me because they're watching me. Because I don't
Yeah.
want to be hypocritical.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a mall because they're watching me. Their parents are watching me.
Right.
The teachers are watching me because I advocate
Yeah.
for them at school.
Yeah.
So it helps me.
And what better incentive? I know when I get like a text or something from a parent, they're saying how much I help them. Because sometimes I know, and I don't want to speak for you, but I kind of feel like maybe you feel like, dang, am I really making an impact? Like a couple may get away from you, and you feel like you're not making an impact. And then right when you're feeling that way, that's when you get that text or that phone call, and that's what keeps me going. Does that kind of similar for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So last year was one of the first times in my life I was ready to give up.
Okay.
I said, it doesn't. I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
I have a degree in accounting. I have a master's.
Mm.
I'm like, I can pay invoices. I can stamp invoices and get this money.
Right.
I'm wasting my time. These kids aren't listening. So I had a kid. He calls me uncle. And, you know, it's weird because in the community, you know, people say, I seen your nephew. And my true nephews and nieces,
Right.
they're like, I'm a nephew, not him. You know, but one of my nephews, I knew him his whole life. He was one of my best basketball players. He didn't graduate from high school on time. He didn't do what he was supposed to do in college. It really depressed me. Then he went to jail for 5 years. Depressed me. So about 4 months ago, he came home and he asked me, his mother called me and asked me, could he use me as a reference? And I said, absolutely. Well, 3 months later, I got a call from someone that said that he was doing awesome at his job.
Wow.
Made me feel great. And then it made me call him and say, listen, you know, maybe I got it wrong. I thought your gift was basketball. Maybe your gift is, because he's working as a disciplinarian in schools.
Okay.
So maybe that was for me.
Yeah.
So I told him I was proud of him. And I can hear him, his voice,
Yeah.
and everything, a sigh of relief. So that was for both of us.
Right.
So, you know, we just still, I'm not calling timeouts. You're still my main man.
Yeah.
And I'm still supporting you. So it's about the relationship more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the three of us too, and I think we have to remember that sometimes we're just planting the seed,
Absolutely.
and we might not see it come to become that tall, pretty green
Absolutely.
flower that it is, and I have to remind myself of that sometimes. Like, and then when I see him later, I'm like, oh, you got your stuff together. Is he even say thanks? You know, so that right there is a part of it too that keeps you going. You have to remember that sometimes we're just planting that seed. We might not see it grow in front of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things you were talking about ways to reduce recidivism is the emotional awareness, financial literacy, and inspiring individuals to dream, which is so important because, again, you know, in countless sessions and you meet so many different people, right? So I remember having conversations with younger men, and I say, well, what do you want to do in the next 5 years of your life, right? And they're looking at me like, Miss Shay, I'm just trying to stay alive until I'm 18, you know, or, you know, I'm just trying to, if I'm lucky to see 21, then I'm good. And it's just like, wow, you know, they couldn't see beyond the 18 or the 21 because every day is a survival. You know, not all, but some of the young men that I worked with in the past, that was their, you know, their life.
Absolutely.
you know. So, can you speak a little bit on the emotional awareness, the financial literacy, and just inspiring? How do you inspire someone that can't see past 18 that there's more to you?
So again, there's a plethora of approaches. One in particular that's worked for me was I challenge their mindsets. I'm a true believer that your mindset is made up of your morals and your values.
Yeah.
Those two will control your actions. So I go back to, I challenge their morals and their values. I try to address those things. So if I have a kid who, like you, I've talked to kids and they just want to be alive.
Yeah.
So I have a scenario that I do, a warm-up session, and I ask the kids, hey, listen, these are two scenarios. Which one would you pick and tell me why? And I ask the kid, you know, I give you $1 million right now, or 15 million when you turn 21. What would you take and why? And one of the kids said to me, I'm gonna take the $1 million now because the way we're living, we're not gonna make it to 21, right? So with him, I knew he had the aptitude to understand different things. So I had to have a different approach with him. So with him, I had to do incremental goals, right? So I use analogy with me. As coming up out of high school, my goal was to make the varsity team. Then my goal was to start. Then my goal was to make all conference. Then my goal was to make all state. So I had to look down the line. I was looking for tomorrow.
Right.
In 9th grade, I can't wait till 10th grade. I can take driver's ed.
Right.
Then once, if I'm good in basketball, once I graduate, I'm gonna go to college.
Yeah.
Right. And then after I graduate, I was watching Huxtables. All right, I'm gonna go to college and I'll meet my Claire Huxtable in college. So I looked forward for goals. So I try to tell them, present different things to them, short-term goals to make them think about 6 months down the line,
Right.
5 months down the line, just to get them to think about that. So, and then I have to make everything relatable as well. So I teach financial literacy, and I talk to them about why you shouldn't go to payday loans, why you shouldn't go to rent a center.
Yeah.
And we sit down, we break things down. I talk to them about APR, credit cards, and things of that nature, and they're like, whatever. So I say, listen. I say, okay. So if someone came to your neighborhood and told you something costs a dime, is that $100? They go, nah, man, that's 10. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. They say a dime is 10. I'm like, oh, so you know that, right? He said, yes. I said, so guess what happens when you go into the office and you don't understand APRs? It's like paying a dove for something worth a dime. So now it's relatable.
Right.
So I try to make the skill sets relatable.
Yeah, I like
Meet them
that.
where they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So the science teacher came to me. He said, listen, I have this whole entire display on the digestive system. And I thought the kids would be excited, where the kidneys is located and this and that. They didn't like it. So I said, listen, show them what would happen if the bullet entered their body this way. Show them what happens when someone is on a philosophy bag. The next day he said, 50% of the class had somebody that was on a philosophy bag.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, so that's what happened. That's what affects that. So if you smoke too much weed, if you do alcohol, this would affect this organ and this organ affects.
Right.
So we had to make it relatable. So that's what I try to do. I try to make it relatable because they swear that school is stupid. I'll never use this in my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Teachers don't understand me. He don't know. He can't relate to me. So what I do is I'll tell them about a scenario and they go, whatever. So thank God that technology, I'll FaceTime somebody. I have a friend, a good brother of mine, he's on Instagram. I'll let them go use their cell phones, go to the Instagram page, and they go, whoa. Then I'll call him on the phone, and he says, yes, I wasted 15 years of my life in jail. So like, so now we have their attention.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll tell them, like, listen, I'm 45, trying to figure out what you guys are about to get right now, 12 and 15.
Right.
Yeah.
So I try to use those examples to inspire the kids.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that is, That's missing in a lot of our schools. And
Absolutely.
it really is. It is missing. It's missing in a lot of schools.
Because we're talking at kids most of the time
Right.
instead of to them.
Right.
And no offense to anybody who
Yeah.
works with black and brown kids who are not black or brown, but there's just a different level of just a different way that they can relate to that person than they can to you. Because even their assumptions about you are gonna lead them to not listen to you most of the time if you're trying to give them a nugget. So, and it's great that we have more, that you're in the school, because we don't have a lot of us in the school system. And that's what our boys and girls, but our boys are definitely missing that piece. So I think it's dope.
Well, so I have 2 daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another advantage that I have, because my daughters are awesome young ladies. Not just because they're my daughters, but because they're awesome young ladies. So, so what I'll do is, my daughter's a model. She has she does photography. That picture I sent
Okay.
to you, that was my gift last year. I went to her.
Oh,
photo.
nice.
So,
Okay.
So what I'll do is, I'll share a story about my daughter, like simple, like some of the kids that come to class late every day. I go, listen, I had the same issue with my daughter. So call my daughter, FaceTime, and she says, yes, I had an issue with being punctual, and my dad used to always, fuss at me, things of that nature. And so my challenge was, I missed the bus one time. My mother made me walk to school. I missed the bus again. But I couldn't do that with a little girl.
Yeah.
It's like, shucks, how do I get her to do it,
Yeah.
And my mother bust me upside the head, but I can't do that.
Right.
I got to find out different ways, to motivate her. So, and of course I can't do that with my students. So my daughter shared a story with them. She says, I'm a model now, and now it's imperative that I'm punctual. A lot of times I audition in New York City.
Yeah.
You never know what the traffic is going to be like. You never know
Absolutely.
where you're going to park. You never know if the elevator is going to work. So she said, I had to work twice as hard to get rid of that bad habit. She said, so now I have to audition for 15 minutes. I have a 15-minute time slot. And if I'm late, I lose my time slot.
Lose it.
Yeah.
So she said, it's not about catching the bus. It's about respecting other people's time. So then they go, okay, they look at her page and go, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Oh my gosh, she's beautiful. So now they listen. Right. So I try to use, all those things. To help out.
Resources.
The lifelines.
Yeah, I use those things.
I love it.
But the boys need it as well.
Yeah.
They need it as well, because unfortunately, fathers aren't in the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're looking up to someone. It could be a rapper or an influencer. So I just try to give them some real life experiences to look up to, So I have a few friends that are successful, so I call them from time to time, and they'll tell them about, I have a friend of mine, a good brother of mine. He played in the NBA. He was a rookie at 27, and he said that he had to try out. He had to work at McDonald's because he was following his passion. And they go online, go, oh, he did. He played for the Supersonics. Oh.
Yeah.
So he has that attention. So I use all my resources to try to pull them in.
That's good.
To pull them in.
That's good.
Because after a while, I become Mr. Wright. I become Charlie Brown's mom. Womp, 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 So I let them hear from other people as well.
Yeah.
So how is it for your daughters to have had to share you with all
That's
these
a good
other
question.
kids in the
Yeah.
community and at your school? What was that like for them?
So I don't know, but I know at my birthday party, when I turned 50, one of my colleagues thanked them for sharing me. And she said that I'm pretty sure your dad probably, was unavailable. And my daughter responded, nah, I wish he wasn't at some of the parent-teacher conferences. So I think they love it.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think they like it. And that helps me out too.
Yeah.
I don't want to let them down, just like I don't want them to let me down.
Yeah.
So I think they've shared with me that they're okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would love to have a father like you. I'll be bragging. That's my dad. I know my dad cool.
So my youngest daughter, the one that's a model, one of my friends I was talking to you about, he does security, with Meek Mills and Little Durk. I don't know all those rappers. I don't know, but the kids look at his page and go, "Wow, they name him."
Right.
So my daughter told me years ago that she went to a concert and she saw his logo on on the T-shirts. So she said, she grabbed her friend and said, "Come on, we're good." So she enjoys. She cut in front of the line.
Right,
you know.
exactly.
We're
Comes
good.
with perks.
Yeah. She's okay with it.
Sharing dad is all right sometimes.
Let's get into some of the comments. Betty Isabel said, "Good topic tonight."
Hey, sister-in-law.
Corey Wilkerson said, he made a comment early on when we were talking about the money. He said, money just makes you more of who you are. Sherry Mona says, if the mindset hasn't changed. Theodore Turner says, loving it, my brother.
Yeah, that's my big brother. I was just with you.
Teddy, what's up, brother?
And Sherry Mona says, love it, Brian B. Wright. And DL Butterfly Orchid says, beautiful examples to be.
Wow, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. So if you are just joining us, you are listening to The Rebirth on Philly Jamz 95.3, and we have B. Wright in the studio tonight. We're talking about breaking generational curses through community involvement. So with all of the things that you are doing, how do B. Wright take care of himself? How do you, because you pour and pour and pour into everybody else. And we always hear the term, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So how do you replenish yourself?
So,
You got a hot tub too in your basement?
So smart.
so that's a good question. So I read a lot. I work out. Just the other day, one of the kids from the Boys and Girls Club, he pulled me to the side and he says, "Hey, how old are you?" Because he just remembered when I was a kid. And he told me that he always admired that I was in shape. So that motivated me to continue to
Right.
Right.
So I find they motivate me as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then I have 2 grandchildren.
Okay.
And so it's about my legacy now.
Right.
My goal is, I know I'm not going to be here forever. So I'm meaningful with my involvement with my kids. So my job, I believe, as a parent was to prepare them to be independent, to live on their own. And I think they are financially, but I just want to make sure that emotionally and psychologically they'll be okay when I'm gone. So that motivates me to, be on the up and up. And so I don't have too many bad days, but it doesn't take much for me to get going.
Right.
Yeah. Good. Very good.
You said that this is something I think I don't know if these kids even have any idea that sometimes how they do motivate us.
Absolutely.
Like, because we're pouring into them, and all this is us coming to help them, us coming to save them. But I don't think they have any idea what that does for us sometimes. And could you kind of speak to that?
Yeah. So it's a great feeling.
It is. Yeah.
So a couple of guys, I talk to some of the parents, and I go, "How's he doing in his class?" He's doing awesome. So I go to the kid. I go, "Listen, man, I need to hear that. Thank you so much.
Right.
You the man." I give him a high five, and they go, "Yeah." I said, "So listen, I need that. I'm gonna need that." So when I see him again, they go, "Hey, look at my grades, my man." So that does really helps me when the kids, do things. A friend of mine shared with me one day. He said he didn't want to coach one year. Shout out to Wayne Matthews. He said that he coached football. So during the league, we actually had 180 kids. So I said, "I need you to coach." He said, "Well, I know it's football." I said, "No, I need you to coach basketball. You'll do well." And he told me the first year he didn't know anything about basketball. He said he was out there. He said they lost their last game, and the kid came up to him and said, just put his head in his waist and said, "Coach, I wanted to quit, but you wouldn't let me. I love you."
Wow. Oh, wow.
He shared that story with me, right? And there's those little tidbits like that. So it was worth it. Everything was worth it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Small victories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It looks like your daughter just logged in, Tasia, right?
That's my baby.
She said, "Proud of you, Dad."
So it's funny. One story about her when she was going into the kindergarten. She was laying in bed, and I was a little nervous. I was like probably out of control at the parent-teacher conference. I'm like, how do we know she's gonna get on the right bus? Asking questions. What do you?
Yeah.
So I'm nervous. So I lay her in the bed that night, and I said, "Tomorrow when you go to school," not verbatim, but I said, "When you go to school tomorrow, I want you to do your best. I want you to handle your business, et cetera, et cetera. And her mother says, she doesn't know what you're talking about. I said, what did daddy say? She said, you told me to make you proud.
Oh,
So that's our that's our love language.
Right.
And she
so
continually makes me
sweet.
proud every day. Love you, sugar.
oh, that is so
That's
sweet.
what's up.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing better than being a girl dad, right? That's like as bad as I wanted a son, I'm glad I have daughters. You know what I mean?
And you know what? And being if you both are girl dads, the importance of a father showing up in his daughter's life. Can you both speak on that? Because I think it's very important. And unfortunately, that's something that I didn't experience. But I just, when I hear these stories, like I'm always telling him how amazing of a dad he is, and hearing you talk about your daughter, I can't believe I'm getting emotional. Hear you talk about your daughter, I just think it's just something that is so important. So can you talk about the importance of showing up in your daughter's life?
You want to go first?
Oh yeah, I just think that we're gonna be the first man that they love. Somebody told me that a long time ago when I first had my oldest daughter. It was like, listen, you have to set the bar. And I've joked around a lot in my life and wasted time and done a bunch of foolishness. But one thing I've been serious about from day one is when I became a father. Like nothing has ever taken me off of that task. That's just, seeing them become the women that they are. My youngest daughter, she'll be 16 in April. I have a 22-year-old, but just seeing them being the women, that they are becoming and growing into. And knowing that I had a hand in that, it's definitely a great feeling, and the relationships that I have. Like we talk about boys and everything, like that's rare. Like girls back in the day, I don't know if the women in the room, but you didn't really talk to your dad about girls. About boys, about who I might like or who might like me and this and that. But I'm proud to have that kind of relationship too, because I'm saying, listen to me. I give her a little nuggets. And she says, and then she'll see things that happen at school. She's like, yeah, my dad told me that was going to happen. Does your dad tell you that? Like, no, I don't talk to my dad about boys. So that's very important. I think us being present, if we're doing what we're supposed to do, we're going to set the bar high, and it makes it hard for any joker to come along and just do and say anything to impress them.
Yeah.
So, man, the best thing that ever happened to me. I give my daughter credit for saving my life. A lot of my friends were entering jail. They're going to jail. My best friend was killed my senior year in college, and my girlfriend, who later became my wife, she was pregnant. My buddy had like 2 kids. So when he was arrested, I was the godfather. I did everything for the child. And I remember taking pictures, Polaroid pictures, sending them to him to prison and saying, hey, man, he know how to ride. He knows how to walk. He says dad now. I taught him how to ride a bike. I bought him a basketball set. And I thought to myself, I didn't want anyone telling me that my daughter knew how to say dad. I wanted to hear it.
Right.
I didn't want to find out that she knew how to walk. I wanted her first steps to be to me. So, and then I talked to a lot of my female friends, and they were telling me about how their life was challenging without their father. So I adopted, those things. And so my youngest daughter, she's a model. She told me, I tell her every day, she's beautiful. You're beautiful. I tell them both, I'm proud of them. She's beautiful. And my daughter said that she was a freshman. She's kind of tall. She said that a kid said to her, you look nice today. And she said, thank you. She said, he responded, oh, you act like you've heard that before. And her response was, actually, my dad tells me every day.
That's right.
So I was like, yeah. So with me, I was just giving them what I never had, right? And it was important to me. I don't know if it's ego, but I wanted to be Superman in their life, right? So when they cried at night, I had the bottle, right? So they look at me. So I did that on purpose. So when my daughter went to college, I remember when I went to college, that's when I realized that my life was messed up. That's when I realized that a lot of my relatives were alcoholics.
Okay.
That's when I realized I was poor. And I realized a lot of things that I didn't have. My daughter shared with me her freshman year in college that she realized how blessed she was. And that meant the world to me, because she said that she talked to some of her friends, and her mother and I, at the time we were divorced. So her mother came up on Friday. I came up on Saturday. They missed the cafeteria. I bought them food. And then she shared stories with them. And they were saying, wow, you know your dad? And she said, Dad, I couldn't imagine life without you. But that was some people's reality, a lot of her classmates' reality.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I realized how cursed I was in college, but it felt great for me, for her to tell me that she realized how blessed she was just having her life. So they saved my life and they keep me on. And the world should be thankful that they came.
Right.
Because I would have been a problem if they weren't.
Shout out to the women, these young girls out here making us better men.
Absolutely. So now I have a granddaughter and a grandson. I finally got a grandson.
Aw.
And my daughter told me that the kids see me in the gym, tell them to put the ball up, sit down, be quiet. And they said the first time they ever saw me, Gentle was holding my granddaughter.
Wow.
And she said, she laughed. She's like, Dad, they were like, yo, I think it's crazy to see me holding a little 8-pound baby because they never saw that side of me. And, and in retrospect, I think that's important that they saw that side of me.
Yeah.
So it's just a gift that keeps on giving. Just being with them.
Early before the show, before you came, he was showing me a picture of his granddaughter and him in ballet class, and I was telling him you went to Helly's dance class. It was so cute.
I do a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. Listen, out of everything I've done, I think being a father has been my biggest accomplishment. We've been in school. We've graduated. We've done all these things, but that right there to me that's it. That's at the top of my list.
Yeah.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It does, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a great feeling. So I talked to one of my friends. She shared a story with me that stuck with me. She said that her fondest memories of her father was when she was younger, under the age of like 8 or 10. She said it was almost like her dad didn't know how to accept her as becoming a young lady.
Wow.
Right? So I never want my daughters to lose me. So growing up, I would buy them flowers just because. And I do it for my granddaughter now. So when the poinsettias come to the house for Christmas, she thinks they're all hers. but my point is to let them know that, that I love you. And I'm supporting you. And so that process, that transition, I don't know if you've ever been there, but you're 16. But at 4 and 5 years old, I was the guy my kids wanted to impress the most.
Right.
Once they turn 16 or 17, there's going to be a cool guy at school. Right. So you got to really
You got to make that mark. You got to make it early and often.
But you got to prepare for that, and you got to be okay with that.
I've come around. I'm much better than I thought I would be because of our relationship and the way we talk.
Okay.
Like if we didn't have that relationship, I'd probably have a different tone with her. And when I hear stuff, if she never told me anything, like most girls are with their father, then I probably wouldn't be in a good headspace mentally with her. And she's gonna be allowed to date when she turns 16. That's 2 months away. That's been the agreement. But that's what we said. We can't switch it on her. We gotta stand on that. But I'm afraid. You don't want to see your kid hurt.
That's right.
And there's gonna be some joker that's gonna come in and hurt them. So my job as a dad, I want to try to protect her as much as I can. But I know that hurt is coming. It's evident.
You can't protect them from emotional hurt.
Right.
There's no way.
I wish. And so our job is to just be there to help them pick up those pieces and move it forward when that hurt comes. Because it's going to come. I hate to say it, but it's going to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come.
So, like my daughter, when she got married, it was a weird feeling. And I didn't have anybody to talk to because I didn't know anyone. Too many people that were in their child's life and gave their child away.
Wow.
So it took me a year to realize that emptiness I had inside. And what it was the most valuable thing in my life. I was asked to give it away to someone that I wouldn't even trust with my automobile.
Wow.
So I gotta, who gives this woman away? I do. And it's to a guy that I would even let borrow my car. Right. So, I went through that metamorphosis. Like, I don't want to be a bad guy. Only thing I know is that he loves my daughter like I love her.
Yeah.
I wish him the best. But I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Wow, that's deep.
That's tough. I hadn't thought that far ahead.
That's deep.
When you hand her away.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so give me a call, young fella. So
How to get your number.
so what happens is, thank God that I was able to go through that process.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for her, but I'm still feeling I got a pit on the inside.
Right.
Right. So I'm conflicting. I'm smiling for the pictures, but I still got a hole on the inside.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have a B Wright to talk to,
Right.
I got to try to figure this out. So now, 4 years later, I figured out what it was. And, now I talk to him more, and they're doing very well. And I love the fact that my daughter, when she calls me, she says, yeah, Dad, we are doing this. We are doing that, not I.
Right.
And I tell her, listen, I'm proud of you. Good job. Like he's great at cooking. My daughter's not good at cooking.
Okay.
So she said, Daddy has a catering job. I'm going to go help him. I said, well, listen, just make sure when he asks for a spatula, you don't hand him a wrench. but
Love it.
we talk, and those conversations are healing to me. And
Yeah.
he's a great guy. But
Do you consider, so are you and him, my brother told me, my oldest brother, he was on here earlier. He said that, don't, when they start dating, don't become friends with these dudes because it's going to make it easier to bust them in their head if they get out of pocket. He said, don't try to like them because you want to hurt them if you have to. So are you and your son-in-law, y'all in a good place?
yes,
Okay. You like him
yes,
as a person?
yes.
Okay. All right.
No,
all right.
I'm saying that because there was a situation where I had to post bail. So, but no, she's happy. He's
Yeah.
taking care of her. I'm proud of him. And so he and I talked to him this summer, and I said, listen, she can't call me anymore for money because I handed it over to you,
Right.
right? So
That part.
so if there's a financial issue, you need to call. You need to call me,
Right.
and it's going to come with the conversation
Absolutely.
because I can teach you some things, help you avoid some pitfalls. But I'm here to help you.
Right.
So you had a situation. You didn't call me because was it your ego, or were you trying to work it out yourself? He said, I was trying to work it out myself. I said, okay, cool, but I'm always here for you.
Right.
But she can't call me anymore.
Absolutely.
The two men need to sit down and figure
I
this
like
out.
that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I had to reach to that point because again, I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I went through the process, and because when I married at 24, 25, I became the patriarch of her family and my family, right? Because dads weren't around.
Yeah. That's a hell of a load at 24.
Absolutely.
To fall on your shoulders.
So I remember telling her, she said she's pregnant. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And she says, what are you talking about? I said, that's a lot of responsibility. She's like, what? You take care of everybody anyway, right? Because I didn't know, right? But the way things were, my mother was like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So, but it's a process.
Yeah. Wow. This has been a blessing. It really has. I really enjoyed the time, the conversation. The hour went by really quick.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I'm looking at him like it's 8:00. I can continue and continue to address a lot of the things that we are talking about tonight. Like I wanted you to kind of speak to just the single moms, because you grew up. And if there was anything that you could say or share, like what would that be?
Easy. So at the end of the day, the kids benefit from both parents. And I've been in situations where I believe the mother thought that if the son loved his father, he wouldn't love her anymore. Wow. Right? And there was a kid, a mental great kid. He's about 35 now. Yeah, about 35. His mother called me and she says, listen, his father's coming around. He was like 11 or 12 at the time. And he's so forgiving of him. He doesn't realize all the hurt and the pain for him not being here. But he's just so forgiving. He's happy that his dad's coming around.
Yeah.
And it makes me sick.
Wow.
right? And I had to tell her, I said, you know, he needs his dad. And I said, but guess what? He doesn't even know to be upset with his father because you do such a good job of hiding. Kudos to you. He doesn't even know that dad didn't come around.
Yeah.
The last 6-7 years. I said, so that's because of the great job that you're doing.
Right.
Right. But she's like, you know, and she didn't admit it, but she wanted her son to be as angry with the father as she was. But he was actually happy that his dad was coming around. So they worked through that process. And, you know, years later, she thanked me, you know, and I see him now and he embraces me and hugs me. He's married with 3 kids. He's in their life. So he broke the cycle.
Wow.
He got his dad back in his life. So I would tell mothers that, you know, by having a dad in his life doesn't mean that he loves you any less.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the child needs his father. Right? So I remember telling my, you know, I would say I can do everything but have a child. But that's not true. My daughter, every day, she would come in the room, daddy, come in the room, daddy, 2 years old, daddy, we didn't say all my prayers, daddy, can you tuck me in, daddy, can you give me something to drink? So it got to the point where my wife would just lay in the bed. She's come to talk to your dad. Right? She was 13 or 14. She came in the room and said, Mommy. I was like, what? What's your mom? What's this all about, right? What's your mom? So I'm sitting on the side of the bed like, you want your mom? Mother came back in the room and said she just had her cycle. I'm like, I'm glad she was here.
All right.
So
We don't know what to do with that.
so both parents are needed.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Not trying to embarrass my daughters, but just being transparent.
Yeah.
But both parents are needed. And so I would tell single mothers that it's important that your son or your child have both parents or have a good relationship with someone from the opposite of both sexes. Because, you know, thank God for the stepfathers and the bonus fathers.
Right.
But that positive relationship will help them in the long run.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sharon Fontaine, we don't know if you can see the comment, but Simone said she tuned in. Oh.
That's my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Simone.
And you are the best uncle dad I have.
Oh, we love you, B. Right.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
Oh, thank you guys for tuning in. Absolutely. This was an awesome interview. Thank you so much for your time, your work, your community work, your involvement, your wisdom, everything.
Okay.
The fatherhood, I can appreciate that. It has definitely been a blessing speaking to you. So we hope that you will come back and sit down with us again for another. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. No doubt.
And if there's anything that we can do to support, you know, anything that you have going on, please let us know. Because we definitely like to help out and support in the community any way that we can.
Awesome.
So just let us know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Be right.
Thanks so much for having me.
No doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. You have been listening to the Rebirth on Philly Jamz 95.3. Listen, next week we have Meshach Stinnett. He will be on, and he is going to be talking about entrepreneurship and the importance of giving back. He's also a Del State alumni.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, Meshach, you'll be coming on next Monday, sitting down with us. Also, guys, make sure that you go to rebirthu.com to get your tickets for Rebirth Live 3.0. Do not wait to get your ticket. Once they're sold out, that would be it. We sold out the first and second Rebirth Live that we had, and we are coming back, a conversation with our brothers, all-male panel, March 25th at Revive. It's $40 for the ticket, so go to rebirthu.com and get your ticket. There will be music, live podcasts, networking, food, and cash bar, and also signature drinks. We have the Rebirth drink that everybody loves.
Jersey 1 coming back, right?
Yes.
All right,
Jersey
DJ Jersey 1 on the ones and twos. It's gonna check us out, man. We gonna party after the round table.
Yeah, so make sure that you you get your tickets as soon as possible. And again, thank you again for tuning in. We love you, we love you, we love you, and we couldn't do this without you. So make sure you tune in next Monday at 7 p.m. Again, our special guest will be Meshack Stinnett will be in the building. Until then, have a blessed rest of the week. Good night.
We've got something to share. We're really proud of our product and are excited to make it available on our website. Check it out now. We've got something to share. We're really proud of our product and are excited to make it available on our website. Check it out now.